Hi, I'm Patrick. I run Limits Art, and welcome to my channel. Today, I want to share an essay with you that I've written called Who's the Cool Girl Now? I wrote this essay because if you look at me right now, you probably think that's a party gay. And while I like looking like this sometimes because it makes me feel confident, this is actually not who I felt I was very much growing up and not even very much into my adulthood. What kind of gave me this confidence was actually a close friend who really wanted me to believe that I could be cool too, and it meant so much to me. It gave me a lot of confidence to come out of my shell and really explore my queerness. And I mean, when I met this friend, as you'll hear in the essay, I had already been out. I was seeing someone, but I'd never painted my nails. I'd never used makeup before. But yeah, so with what I'm doing on my website, I sell my art, obviously, but I'm also using it as a space to kind of get some thoughts down and share what I think about life, culture, etc. I mean, gosh, if you remember Tumblr and the way people would post, manifestos on there, sometimes it feels that way, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to get better at writing, and I hope I share a story with you that you resonate with and that you're interested to know more about and get to know me more. So welcome. I'm really glad you're here. And without further ado, you'll see me kind of glancing up and down as I read the essay. Let's get started. Grab a cup of coffee, grab some tea, settle back, relax, and let me tell you the story of who is the cool girl now. I have a close friend who says to me, Patrick, you're secretly very cool. Color me gobsmacked because I never once growing up considered myself cool. Cool was something other people had. It was God-given, a different caste, something that implied a level of social success that I just did not have. I was part of the misfit group of kids growing up, and happily so. I was silly, dorky, and nerdy. I was too earnest in my feelings, but also too scared to confidently own them. In my mind, the cool kids didn't have this problem. Cool kids were effortless. They didn't care about anything, and this aloofness gave off a perception of strength and untouchability. Cool kids were well liked and invited to parties. I was not. Fast forwarding through my adolescence, I gained confidence over time. I began to believe in myself and the power of my own being more. I came out as gay. I commissioned as an officer in the U.S. Air Force. I had interesting tidbits about me. I spoke Chinese, I lived abroad in South Korea, I was dating a model from Taiwan, but I remained really afraid to let my freak flag fly. That all changed when I met someone who remains one of my closest friends to this day. He was another officer in the military and also gay. Fabulously gay. I had never had a close gay friend before, let alone an out gay coworker. I was fascinated with him. I tried to subtly hint to him that I, too, was a fellow gay. I used ambiguous language like my partner and never mentioned a single shred of attraction to girls. On our third day of working together, right as he walked in, and before he could even hit me with a good morning, I asked him in a hushed whisper, "Hey, can I ask you something?" He immediately could tell from my tone and lowered gaze that this was serious. "Yeah, of course. What's up?" I took a beat. "Are you gay?" He blinked, a little confused. Yeah, I am." I let out a big sigh of relief. Then, with true dramatic reveal, not unlike the unmasking of a villain in a Scooby-Doo plot, I disclosed to him, "Me too." And like most folks who watch a Scooby-Doo reveal may feel, my friend looked at me both unimpressed and bemused and simply said, "Yeah, girl, I know." Damn, he clocked me from the start. Can you believe it? This is the same friend who would later tell me that I secretly have the power of cool. If not for him, I don't think I would have ever discovered this facet about myself. In fact, I don't think I would understand what cool meant if not for him. We started off simple at first. Cargo shorts, while functional, were not really that cool if you wanted to dress to impress. He also took me to my first gay club. And again, I was betrothed to be married to a man at this point, but I'd still never been to a gay club. He let me wear one of his black tank tops, and it felt scandalous. My shoulders, my tender armpits, and my light chest hair exposed to the world like some classic harlot. It was exhilarating. It really was. Call me Rose by Kate Winslet because I was dancing in the underbelly of the Titanic and having the time of my life. I felt powerful. I felt capable. I wanted more. I wanted to be more, see more, do more. I was hungry to be seen, to be sexy, to be that girl when I walked into a room and everyone turned to look. And so I tried. I impersonated. I put on the Ritz. I dabbled in eyeliner and I wore black tank tops and I just let loose and cared about having a good time for myself and not for others. I think it was around this time that my friend said to me, "You're secretly very cool." When I asked why he said that, and I tried to explain to him how that simply was not true, that I'm not cool, he took my hand in true sister fashion and looked me dead in the eyes. "Patrick, I know a lot of cool people and a lot of people who think they're cool. Some people think being beautiful or having money makes you cool, but usually those are some of the most boring people in a room. You're yourself and you encourage others to be themselves. That's cool." As I walked home to my apartment that night, I thought about the gravity of what my friend had said. Was I really cool? If I was never cool before, could I become cool now? Did I even know what cool was? Now, I think that cool means being yourself and not being afraid of who you really are. I think it means being yourself whether or not other people like what you're bringing to the table. It means showing up unapologetically as you, and everyone else can take it or leave it. I think about Charlie XCX, a pop star who has sung, written, and talked a lot about what cool is. I think about how cool invariably changes over time and with each generation. I think about supermodels and divas, these incarnations of cool, like Grace Jones and Eartha Kitt, and many, many others who make their own choices and dare you to challenge them. If that's the type of cool I can be, I'll be happy with that. In the end, I still don't know if I would ever describe myself as cool. And frankly, I really don't know if a lot of people would describe me that way either. And that's okay. I hope I'm seen as silly and kind before being seen as cool. That's not to downplay what my friend said about me. I just think I still inextricably link this definition of cool to the same definition I had as a kid, something unattainable and other. But I also have the maturity now to realize that maybe those other kids, when I was younger, weren't as cool as I thought they were. And at the same time, I also realized that they felt so other to me because I was unwilling to let my own guard down and see that they weren't really a threat and were just like me, scared, awkward, and figuring out how to navigate all the complexity and sheer weirdness of life. To close, I want to ask you a couple questions. Are you cool? Do you think you're cool? Do you want to be cool? If you're unsure, here are some things I want you to consider. Number 1, be cool or don't. There is no try. Seriously. Number 2, authenticity is the sexiest way to show off. And lastly, commit to the bit. Even if it feels like just a bit to you, even if you feel like you're faking it, no one else has to know that, you know? Just commit to it. Give it a try. What's the worst that's going to happen? Just be yourself. So that's the essay, and if you want to read it for yourself, you can head on over to my website, www.lemitsart.com, and that's where it's posted. Thanks for listening. You know, just to kind of close up with some other thoughts after reading that essay, I'm really happy with who I am now. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I don't feel that way all the time, but I'm really happy with who I've discovered myself as. I was so nervous to come out, and I didn't come out till I was 21, which I think is a little later for a lot of queer people. But I came from a somewhat conservative background, and I knew that it was going to really test some relationships within my family. Thankfully, not my parents. I have awesome parents, and I'm very lucky to have that. But, you know, there's coming out, you know, with your sexuality, and then there's coming out for the type of person you want to be. It's not necessarily the exact same. Sometimes there's overlap, but it's not the same all the time, right? So I've been, again, you know, what I talk about in this essay is that I've been out for a couple years now that I really was scared to try stuff like makeup and eyeliner and nail polish. I thought it was interesting, and I liked it so much because it was colorful and fun and expressive. And, even with a really supportive person in my life who was, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you're comfortable being gay. I remember one time I was doing makeup with them and they wanted to show me what a more traditional like glamour beat looked like and how to really accentuate my eyelashes. And we kind of had a tussle over it. It didn't feel like me. I didn't want to be classically pretty with it. Like I don't like using foundation. I don't really like using mascara. I just don't like the way it looks on me. But that's my preference, right? That's the beauty of it. This individual, they said to me, well, you got to think about whether or not what you're putting out there is what people want. And I just strongly disagree with that. I don't want to live my life in a way that's catering to what other people want. I want to live my life in a way that I want. And I hope you do too. Anyways, if you made it this far, thanks so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day and stick around. Let's keep in touch. I hope to share more with you and I hope you like listening. So thanks for being here. Bye.